We live trapped in constant connection, as if the digital world never stops. Every notification, every like, every new piece of content stimulates our brain without pause. I felt the urgent need to understand how this rhythm affects the mind, not through theory, but through direct experience. A quiet voice inside me urged me to begin this journey. I wasn't looking for drama or quick answers, but for something that could return me to what matters. I wanted to share something real, not just informative, but deeply human. We're immersed in non-stop stimulation. Everything shines, makes noise, demands attention. The screen has become an extension of ourselves. And our minds, used to this overload, are constantly searching for the next impulse, the next distraction. We've grown used to immediacy, to quick answers, to the click that avoids the void. Without realizing it, we use constant gratification as a shield against stillness. But in that urgency, we lose something much more valuable: the ability to be present. I realized I was caught in an automatic cycle. Checking the phone, glancing at notifications, feeling I had to be available all the time. It was a quiet habit, but dominant. It shaped my days without me noticing. The impact was subtle, but constant. I struggled to focus on one thing at a time. My thoughts jumped restlessly from one place to another. And the saddest part, I was starting to forget how to enjoy what was right in front of me. Then a question emerged, one I couldn't ignore anymore. What would I find if I stopped flooding myself with stimuli for a moment? What would rise to the surface if I stopped running from stillness? I knew the answer wasn't in more thinking, but in doing something different. So I made a clear decision: disconnect completely for 7 days. Turn off the noise and make space for what within me needed to be heard. I turned off my phone, shut down social media, and walked away from the screens. This wasn't just a tech break, it was a way back to myself, to look for what I had lost between all the noise and hurry. I stood still, looking at the horizon, hoping that the calm outside might awaken something within me. It was a quiet beginning, but a deep one. The real journey had just begun. The first 48 hours were harder than I imagined. What I thought would feel like peace turned into a thick discomfort. It was a strange emptiness, and my mind didn't know how to live in it. My head wouldn't stop spinning. It kept going, as if still expecting something, a message, a notification, anything. The stillness didn't calm it. It stirred it up even more, like it had forgotten how to pause. Boredom hit like a strong wave. It wasn't just emptiness, it was an urge to escape, to do something, anything. It was my mind resisting a habit it didn't want to let go of. My hand kept reaching into my pocket, looking for a phone that wasn't there. An automatic gesture, almost involuntary. And every time it happened, I realized how deeply I had come to rely on that distraction. That's when I understood. The challenge wasn't being without stimulation. The real challenge was being with myself, without escaping. Sitting with my thoughts, no screens, no noise, just me breathing. Learning to be with myself wasn't fast or easy. Sometimes it hurt. It took patience not to give in to the urge to return to the familiar. It was like letting go of an old habit without yet having a new one. Around the 3rd day, something in me began to settle. That constant unease started to fade, and in its place, a new sensation emerged, like I could finally see things more clearly. A kind of mental fog, which I hadn't even noticed before, began to lift. My thoughts stopped colliding. It felt like I could finally think without interference. The outside world took on a new dimension. Colors looked brighter, sounds clearer. A renewed sensory experience was connecting me to reality in a more vivid and grounded way. Talking with others felt different. Without needing to check my phone, I was really there. I listened better. And in that space, conversations began to happen that never did before. I wasn't just hearing, I was truly listening. Every word, every gesture, every pause. It was as if I could finally be fully present with the person in front of me. That new clarity brought relief. I discovered that stillness isn't something to fill. It's where the most important things begin. Honest insights are born there. As my mind cleared, focus returned. I didn't have to fight for it anymore. I could do what I needed to do, calmly, without feeling pulled in every direction. I began to do more, but with less rush, less anxiety. It was like time had reorganized itself. Doing one task at a time made sense again. I no longer craved validation from others. What I wrote, what I thought, what I chose, it made sense to me, and that was enough. I started to find beauty in the simplest things. The first sip of coffee, the soft warmth of sunlight, the simple act of breathing. Moments that once went unnoticed now spoke to me in silence. The simple began to feel sacred. These pauses connected me with myself, with my surroundings, with something deeper. They weren't just moments anymore, they were anchors. I realized what we've been doing without noticing, trading true connection for fleeting pleasure, choosing what's easy and losing what truly nourishes us. Choosing to disconnect felt like choosing between a living path full of detail or a shiny but empty highway. It was choosing to hear myself rather than follow the noise. It wasn't a magical fix, but it was a reset, a pause to remember what matters and make room for what I truly want to protect. It reminded me how valuable that inner space is, to guard it from the noise that drowns out thought, to let something real grow inside. In the end, I felt something close to hope, as if the day had begun again after a long night. I realized clarity is always there, if you stop long enough to find it. This journey taught me that what matters isn't everything that happens to us, it's how we live it. That the extraordinary often hides in the most ordinary things. I discovered that when the mind has space, it breathes differently. It thinks better. It feels more. And stillness is not an absence. It's where everything begins. Turning down the noise isn't the goal. It's the path. To return to yourself, to what you love, to what surrounds you. It's an act of care, a way back to your truest self. This journey reminded me that clarity is always available, if we give ourselves the space to look for it. Now I ask you, what app would you delete for just one day? What space could you create by doing so? Share it in the comments. Your words might inspire someone else. Think about it. How much is a little calm worth to you? What could you discover if you allowed yourself to slow down and simply be? What did you discover when you listened to yourself? What would you change today? Maybe your words will help someone else take their first step. At Wisdom for Life, we seek exactly that, to share ideas that help us live with intention, even in the middle of all the noise, to find clarity without losing our humanity. There's still much to explore, but you don't have to do it alone. Let's walk together, step by step, toward a life that's clearer, fuller, more true. I hope you find peace in the simple, clarity in your pauses, and meaning in every step. May what lives inside you always be your guide. Thank you for being here, for taking this moment for yourself. I wish you calm, truth, and a little more of yourself each day. If this message awakened something in you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. What app would you delete for a day? What space could you create if you allowed yourself that little pause? Share your reflection. And if this kind of message resonates with you, if it inspires you, if it helps you see more clearly, consider subscribing to Wisdom for Life. This channel exists for those who choose awareness over distraction, depth over noise.